We chose to analyze aspects of the movie Finding Nemo. This movie relates to Beowulf and its journey, settings, and characters. Throughout the story, there are archetypal elements.
Archetypal plots and themes in Finding Nemo. In Finding Nemo, the call to adventure happens early in the movie. Nemo swims out to touch the boat to prove to his dad that he can do things by himself. After he touches the boat, a diver captures him and takes him away. This is Marlin's call to adventure. In Beowulf, the call to adventure is when Beowulf hears about Hrothgar's troubles in Heorot. Both movies display a call to adventure that gets the story going. Shortly after Nemo is taken, Marlin begins to swim after the boat, but quickly loses sight of it. This is a critical point in the plot because he meets Dory when he is asking other fish if they have seen a boat. Although Dory may not be the most wise mentor, she does offer her skills of reading and guidance throughout Marlin's adventure. In Beowulf, Beowulf meets Hrothgar, who is his mentor. Hrothgar helps Beowulf by hosting him and his warriors in the mead hall and by telling him about the terrible monsters. In Finding Nemo, Marlin and Dory are tested many times before they make it to the Sydney harbor to rescue Nemo. These tests include escaping from the sharks, surviving the depths of the ocean and surviving an anglerfish, making it through a forest of jellyfish, and surviving being eaten by a whale. These tests prove that Marlin is worthy of his adventure and that he is stronger than he imagined. In Beowulf, Beowulf tells of how he chained 5 great monsters and how he hunted monsters out of the sea. These tests prove to Hrothgar that Beowulf is worthy of his quest. In Finding Nemo, Marlin acquires many allies that helped him on his journey. His allies include Dory, Crush and the sea turtles, and Nigel the pelican. Also on his quest, he faces enemies as well, which include the sharks, the whale, the jellyfish, and the birds that try to eat them. In Beowulf, Beowulf's allies include his warriors, Hrothgar and Wiglaf. His enemies include Grendel, Grendel's mother, and the dragon. Acquiring allies and enemies are a big part of the archetypal journey. The ordeal is a part of the middle of the story where the hero enters a dangerous space. The ordeal happens when Marlin and Dory go above the trench and get stuck in the jellyfish. In Beowulf, the ordeal is when Beowulf dives into the lake and goes into Grendel's mother's lair. The supreme ordeal in Finding Nemo is when Dory gets trapped in the fishing net and Nemo swims into the net in order to get all the fish to swim down. His plan works and all the fish are freed, but Nemo is left unconscious on the ocean floor. This is the part when Marlin faces the possibility that his son is dead. In Beowulf, the supreme ordeal is when Beowulf has to fight the dragon. Beowulf faces death by fighting the dragon, and in the end he dies, which is different than what happens in Finding Nemo. Raising the reward, which is a part of the archetypal journey, is shown in Finding Nemo when Marlin and Nemo are reunited. Nemo escapes the fish tank and gets back to the ocean through the water pipes. Finding his son is Marlin's reward. In Beowulf, Beowulf earns his reward after he has slain the dragon. Even though he is dying, he asks Wiglaf to bring him the treasure he has won. The treasure is Beowulf's reward. The resurrection is the last part of the archetypal journey. This is where the hero is tested once more and is changed or reborn. In Beowulf, there is no resurrection because Beowulf dies and does not come back to life. In Finding Nemo, however, there is a resurrection. Marlin's final challenge is to let Nemo go back to school. He was changed because he learned that he needed to let go of his son. One of the most significant themes in Finding Nemo is the concept of friendship. Marlin at first doesn't like Dory, but they soon become great companions. Marlin goes back into the jellyfish to save Dory, just like a good friend should do. A similar theme seen in Beowulf is the concept of kinship. This means that no matter what, a warrior is supposed to stand with his leader. This is shown when Wiglaf is the only warrior to stay and fight the dragon with Beowulf. Another theme present in Finding Nemo is learning to let go. Marlin is very protective over Nemo in the beginning of the movie and tries to control everything he does. After his journey, he realized that he has to let go so Nemo can enjoy his own experiences. In Beowulf, Beowulf is strong and brave and lets go of fear in order to fight.
Archetypal settings in Finding Nemo. In Finding Nemo, the anemone is Marlin and Nemo's ordinary world. The anemone is their safe zone and protection. We first see Marlin and Nemo in their home together on Nemo's first day of school. In Beowulf, his ordinary world is Geatland, the country where he lives. Here, Marlin has to drop Nemo off at school for the first time. He is very concerned and protective of Nemo. Nemo leaving with the stingray is just a preview of his father's call to adventure. At the drop-off, Marlin's call to adventure begins. Nemo tests his dad by showing him he is a good enough swimmer and touches the fishing boat. He then gets captured, and Marlin realizes that he needs to get Nemo back. On the other hand, Beowulf heard in Geatland from sailors that Hrothgar needed help. He begins his adventure in Geatland and leaves to help defeat Grendel. The drop-off is also the location where Marlin has to make a change in himself. He has always been afraid of the sea, but he has to get over this in order to get his son back. Here at the drop-off, Marlin gets enough courage to go explore the sea. However, in Beowulf, he immediately accepts the challenge because he wants to make a name for himself. The submarine marks Marlin's approach. Marlin and Dory meet Bruce and the rest of the sharks for a party. Marlin is terrified, and his situation only gets worse when Dory starts bleeding and Bruce goes after them. In comparison, Beowulf was also in a dangerous situation when he fought Grendel in the mead hall and ripped his arm off and killed him. The submarine begins to tip and the mask falls to the bottom of the ocean. The bottom of the ocean is symbolic because it also represents Marlin's emotional state at this time. If he doesn't find the mask, he will be in danger of never finding Nemo. In Beowulf, he has to swim down to Grendel's mother's lair. The lake he has to swim in is disgusting, and he has to swim for hours in order to get to the cave. The seagull's mouth represents Marlin's ordeal. The seagull knows where the dentist's office is that Marlin needs to get to. He scoops up Nemo and Dory in his mouth and gets to the dentist's office, only to find that Nemo is playing dead. Marlin thinks Nemo is actually dead and hits rock bottom. The net that Nemo and Dory get stuck in represents the road back. They get stuck in a big fishing net, and Marlin is driven to complete his adventure and helps them break the net. In Beowulf, the road back occurs where they fought the dragon, and Wiglaf brings the treasure to Beowulf. The resurrection is the hero's final test. In Finding Nemo, the final test occurs at Marlin and Nemo's home. Here, Marlin decides to let Nemo go back to school. Marlin was always very protective of Nemo, so this was a big step for him to take again. However, in Beowulf, there is no resurrection because he dies.
Archetypal characters in Finding Nemo. The archetypal hero is Marlin. He represents many characteristics of an archetypal hero. He takes a cyclical journey to prove that he can protect his son Nemo. His travels take him around the world. He travels across the ocean all the way to Sydney, Australia. During his travel, he experiences many difficulties. Also, he returns from his journey changed. Unlike in Beowulf, where Beowulf dies and is not resurrected, Marlin comes out changed for the better. He becomes less uptight and realizes the true importance of life. Marlin and Beowulf are very similar in other ways. They are both launched into a journey that leads to multiple battles and hardships. Each character has 3 main battles. In the movie, Dory is the closest mentor to Marlin. She meets him as he is beginning his journey and guides him along the way. The biggest way she helps Nemo is with her ability to read. Without reading the goggles and signs, Marlin would not have been able to continue the journey. She essentially gives him the gift of knowledge, being a handy tool when needed, similar to Beowulf's mentor, King Hrothgar. The herald of the movie is the dentist. The dentist is the person who captures Nemo, sending his father Marlin on a long adventure through the sea. He is the character who launches Marlin on his quest. The dentist could be connected to King Hrothgar of Beowulf because they are both the characters that call our heroes to action and send them on their journey. In the movie, Nemo acts as another herald. He was the one who got captured, launching Marlin into action. If Nemo hadn't tried to swim to the boat, he never would have been captured, and Marlin never would have got to go on his journey to rescue his son. Bruce the shark acts as the first threshold guardian. He takes Marlin and Dory to his lair and battles them. However, Marlin and Dory escape. Similar to Beowulf's first battle with Grendel, he is temporarily holding Marlin off his journey. The group of jellyfish act as the threshold guardians. They surround the trench, blocking Marlin and Dory to get through the trench. These are similar to Grendel's mother in Beowulf. Both act as the second battle, holding back the heroes. Also, both guardians have a lair. The jellyfish ground is like Grendel's mother's home. Each are difficult to get to, as well as being very eerie to be in. Like Beowulf, Marlin had one more threshold guardian to deal with, the third. This time, it was a giant whale. The whale swallowed Marlin and Dory, but like any good hero, they were able to find an escape. The whale in Finding Nemo is similar to the dragon in Beowulf. They are the last battle that our heroes must face. Crush the turtle acts as an ally to Marlin and Dory. He helps them to get through the current. I would not consider a consider him a mentor because he only accompanies Marlin through the current. Once Marlin is through, Crush continues along his way. While they are together, he acts as a friend and companion through that part of the journey. Crush is with other turtles who act as a group helping Marlin. This is similar to Beowulf's warriors, who follow and help him throughout the journey. Another important ally is the pelican. The pelican accompanies Marlin and Dory for a small portion of the journey. He takes them to Nemo, as well as saving them from the seagulls. He would be considered an ally because he is on their side when they come across him. In Beowulf, Wiglaf acts as an ally like the pelican. Each are there with the hero after the third and final battle, helping them to finish off their journey. Lastly, towards the end of the movie, a couple of tricksters emerge. There are a few crabs that try to make trouble. They don't want to tell Dory where Marlin swam away to. However, Dory scares them out of their tricking ways. These crabs are similar to Unferth because they verbally taunt and stir up unnecessary trouble.
In conclusion, Finding Nemo follows the archetypal journey, settings, and characters, which is also followed in Beowulf. These archetypal characteristics can also be found in several other works of literature.